Hello, I'm EpiX3Cat, and 12 years ago today, I started a new world with the seed Everything. I have played this world every week since then, and it has lasted longer than my skin, my home, and even my girlfriend. Well, really 4 girlfriends and counting, but needless to say, it's special to me and I've done a lot with it, and so to celebrate, I had 3 ideas for what I could do for this occasion. I liked all of them a lot, but then I decided, you know what, this is such a special event for me and for the world, that why don't I do all 3 alongside a brief world tour, so that if you're not familiar with the Let's Play world, you can see exactly what's happened here and how it's changed over the years. That's what we're doing today. Do join me for it, as we start, by the way, with a brief world tour. This is obviously the central point of the world. It is my iconic brick house, but it's not the first house I actually created, because like many people, even though I spawned right here, I decided I should head to the very other side of my world, and so I did, eventually coming across a ravine which intersected with a cave, remaking something which I just thought would make for a remarkable house, and so I decided to set up inside of it. A few home renovations later, and I still do spend most of my time in this cave house. In case you worry it's claustrophobic though, don't worry, I have a window to the outside world, and I also sleep with a map of Britain right above my head to remind me that things can always get worse. Just outside is where I made my first couple of builds, a sugarcane farm and a flatland, and not that long afterwards is when I realized I was mining so much and had cobblestone and didn't know what to do with it, so I made a giant 50 by 50 by 50 cube, something I then duplicated for the nether and the end, and boy, aren't they beautiful. You can tell my creativity is very, very high from these 3 things combined. Not long after being settled in my cave, I decided to eventually build the big sky bridge, which takes us back to spawn and the iconic side of the world that's over there, a very stark difference to the cave house and the efficiency over here, something I've always enjoyed. But over the years, I built hundreds of things close and far across my Minecraft world, but I figured to show you some of the most relevant, rather than giving you my analysis, I figured why not instead use that of a cold, heartless robot. By the way, I have a huge announcement I want to make about this world, but first, let's have AI rank some of my favourite builds, or rather, roast some of my favourite builds, because this is what my Let's Play world looks like, and so I went to these 7 key highlights, sent an image to ChatGPT, and asked it, politely, to roast my world. Boy, did it not hold back, by the way. When I asked it about this, my beautiful castle that I made as a replacement for my house, it said that there were 5 key points it wanted to raise. One of these was the grey monotony. Congratulations on mastering the art of making everything the same colour. It's like you looked at all the possible blocks in Minecraft and thought, why bother? Grey is the new everything. This castle gives off serious prison vibes, but at least it's consistent. You know, just like my consistent journey here on YouTube, I've got to say I consistently build stone buildings because I go mining and I want to use it for something, but ChatGPT disagrees with that at least. The flat roof fantasy is one of its big problems. The Tower of Babel ambitions, which, you know, I've got to be fair, the 4 different towers, you know, I'm not a big fan of that either. Thanks for bringing it up, Mr. AI man in the sky. But the bridge to nowhere is the one that really hurts me. The bridge leading to the entrance seems to say, I promise there's something cool inside, but given the outside, it's more likely you're leading your visitors to their doom, or worse, boredom. Oh, the worst thing you can say to a YouTuber. And you know what? Looking at it, I think there might be a little bit of a point here. If you just take a closer look, you can see that, oh yeah, it does go to nowhere. This weird dirt tower is something that should have been replaced with something more permanent, and I'm sorry that I didn't realize that. But it's not the only thing I asked it to rate. I mean, if it was rude about the single use of block for my castle, I wonder what it thinks about these, and the answer is yes, behold, the 3 majestic cubes of absolute mediocrity. Let's address the elephant in the room. You built cubes. It's a block-based game. What else are you meant to make inside of it? Anyway, giant, featureless, uninspired cubes. If minimalism were a crime, you'd be in prison for life with this one. First off, what's with the colour scheme? We've got the beige box of boring, the grey box of gloom, and the blood red cube of what? Misplaced aggression? There is actually a zombie pigman farm in there, so that is a fair thing to say. Where's the creativity, the detailing? These cubes are as flat as your hopes for this roast. Oh. It's roasting me for wanting to be roasted now. It also called my volcano a chocolate fountain gone wrong, my wood factory a giant brown blob that is a termite stream. Seriously, all that wood and not a shred of creativity. Although it was a little nicer about my enchantment room and armory because it said it gives off a classic PvP arena vibe. Heck yeah! And I gotta say that the only thing that it really disagreed with was the solid stone rectangle. It's an anvil, you uncultured slob. It seemed to think there was a netherite sword, and also then he went offer me saying, I can't ignore the fact that you've put in 6,515 days into Minecraft. With that much time, I bet you've got much cooler builds elsewhere in your world. This one seems like a warm-up compared to what you could do, and honestly, that was pretty motivational, so I decided I would change tact and actually say, you know what, say some nice things about my world. And so here's the nicest ChatGPT has for me. Your desert looks like it's gone through some sort of torch apocalypse. I guess that's praise. It's like you were scared of the dark and spammed torches until the ground was 90% light and 10% sand. No, it's 0% sand, you idiot. Also, that massive furnace wall, it's as if you thought, hey, let's take the most monotonous block in the game and use it to build a monument to boredom. No, it's beautiful. I love it. This is one of the best builds in the world. You know, this is what made me realize that maybe I don't need to hold the opinion of it's so true, and I figured rather than just blindly taking it, what if I put ChatGPT to the test? This is one of the most sentimental parts of my world, and it's also one of the most recognizable. You can almost immediately tell what this is, even if you weren't necessarily there for the Xbox 360 edition, and so I decided, let's go in and let's ask the GPT itself where this is from, and it took a very long time to reply, but I finally got an answer. This looks like it's trying to recreate the iconic Minecraft main menu screen with the the giant floating Minecraft logo, the setup with the trees, the small pond. It's so close to understanding, but this is one of the most legendary images on the internet, and if ChatGPT doesn't understand this, then what do I care about ChatGPT's opinion and everything else? Although, I'm just kidding. I need to see what it says about my iconic Let's Play house anyway. I crave the validation too much. That's why I upload videos of my world. And so let's go there and let's see what it says.
Let's flip the script and appreciate the brilliance of this Minecraft masterpiece. Unyielding defense. This brick fortress is the definition of durability. You could laugh in the face of a creeper explosion because your house would still be standing tall. Who needs aesthetics when you've got raw, unbreakable strength? Efficient design.
I asked it to be nice and it's still roasting me.
When you can have a functional, straightforward box? Every block serves a purpose. And there's something to be said for a house that gets straight to the point. Eco-friendly roof. The wooden roof isn't just a design choice. It's environmentally conscious. You're blending natural materials with stone, giving the structure a unique blend of modernity and nature.
I've never been roasted so hard than when I asked but you know, it's such an efficient design. Who needs fancy designs when you have a straightforward box? Also, the other things they were going to say was strategic window placement, because your minimalist window design shows a keen understanding of privacy. Man, okay, whatever you do, never ask any GPT model to say nice things about you, because it will make you feel worse than the alternative. But I did mention, briefly, that there was a big announcement coming soon about this world, and it kind of ties into the second thing I wanted to do today, because rather than just showing you a bunch of builds and saying, trust me, I built these over the past 12 years, maybe you missed that episode of the Let's Play. Statistically, even if you're subscribed to this channel, about 98.5% of people cannot mathematically have seen all of the episodes, and that's assuming that the same 1.5% are the same. It's impossible for you to have seen every episode if you're watching this video, and so let's go through and let's see what the world used to look like, not here in 2024, but maybe a few years back in time. This took some real doing, but I located backups of my world from 2022. Okay, that one was easy because the world was being uploaded to the marketplace, but then I found a 2020 backup, a 2018 backup, and we're going to go all the way back, and we're going to see what the world changed as we go back through these versions. So we'll start here on our wonderful bridge, and we'll see how things changed over time, starting with 2022. Bad year. So this is 2022's copy, and honestly, as you look around, you might be forgiven if you were to mistake this as being more or less one from the present. And this is kind of understandable, you know, of the 12 years of history, 10 of them happened before this point, but also if you start to look and you know what you're going for, you'll see some very odd things that don't look anything like they do in the present day. I mean, my big banner that I was standing in front of a second ago is gone, but even some of my other big projects that I've worked on are just entirely non-existent, whether that be the Wither Skeleton Farm, the giant Nether tunnel, and the console-sized Nether that I'm still slowly piecing together from all this time, but one of my favorite projects I've ever done in this world, you just won't notice if you load up this version. So go down into the basement and you'll see that I was working on something fun here. It is a house underneath my house. However, in 2022, this only went one level deep, and so if you try to find the trapdoor down further, it doesn't exist. Also, this house isn't really properly put together. It burned down in a house fire. I guess I'm not subscribed to myself, so that makes sense though. Anyway, as you can see, it's still very much a work in progress, something which you won't find in the 2024 copy. By the way, for those asking, the Marketplace copy is currently in the process of updating. It's a very, very long one for a world as big as this, for reasons you can probably understand. They have to review the entire world, and also we have to review the entire world to give them notes of what they need to review. But yeah, as you can see, 2022 changes some things, and some big builds are notably absent, but overall, it's more or less the same, something which is less true in 2020. The 2020 copy of the world actually requires me to confirm that I want to make a backup or not, and for some reason I'm sitting on top of a crafting table over here? Oh, I must have just finished the creeper farm at this point in time. Nice. So I do have some insider knowledge about this particular copy of the world that I can share, because I think this was just before we started putting a copy out onto the marketplace, and so as a result, there's a few things in the world that had to change. The most notable is over here, because instead of having a banner or a grayed out Triforce, or rather grayed out collection of triangles, there is a full Legend of Zelda style Triforce here. This obviously did not meet certain criteria for being owned by me, although can anyone really ever own art? Well, I mean, you can own your own art, but can you own the art that you make based on something else? It's a question that I didn't want to have my lawyers answering, and I didn't want to hire lawyers to be my lawyers for that one. But also, as we look around the rest of the world, you can see some subtle other changes to places like the museum, or indeed to my collection of updates. This was 2020, so the most recent update that came out was 1.16. Weird, huh? My furnace house definitely was a lot sadder back at this point in time, but also, whoa, my overflowing chocolate fountain didn't exist at all either. I didn't realize how recently I made that. I guess it must have been for the Never update. But in my mind, this is just one of those things that's existed forever, but I guess my mind has lied to me. To reference one of those girlfriends from the intro, right here is where I at some point since this point built a Mary Can, because we started living together in 2020 by no choice of either of ours, just literally being unable to go to each other because of the pandemic. Poor decision, gotta say. That's why it's X Mary Can, I guess. But in this world, it's not X because it was never made. Imagine if I could go back to 2020 me, all the things I would tell myself. Well, one of those things would certainly be, don't build an iron farm inside of here. The iron farm has caused me very little. Oh yeah, it's just not here at all, huh? Neither is my automatic pumpkin farm. I turned this into a big waterfall, and it's kind of odd to see it how it was before. And also, this is before I did for a few, I did a couple of times during the pandemic, working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. The joke was, I was streaming from 9 AM to 5 PM every day. It was different time zones we did each time, so, you know, I would have been fired from a real job if I worked that way. But yeah, I did a 9 to 5 in Minecraft, and I used that as an opportunity to catch up on a lot of, like, housework in Minecraft, and stuff like this, where it's just like, this was so ugly, but I built it so early on. You know, it's the fun thing about seeing a Minecraft world as it's at its current point, or at its finished point. You see a lot of things and think, wow, that world must have been so beautiful when you got your hands on it, but this wasn't that pretty before in my opinion, before I beautified it. This was just downright ugly, and I think there's so many parts of this world that just were unusable. Why would I have a staircase coming out onto another staircase? There's so many bad decisions here that I'm glad I fixed up. But yeah, it takes a really long time to actually have these things take effect, and even the cave house itself would have looked worse. I went through a lot of renovations between 2020 and 2022. Oh, I didn't realize this room existed at that point. But I went through a lot of renovations in my house more broadly, and my Minecraft house, that is to say. And you can see that the ceiling used to be 2 blocks high, which apparently people hate. I don't think it's a big deal, but I replaced it with slabs later on, and you just can't tell that in this version. But yeah, this was 2020, and it's a lovely world and all, but what if we went back even further? Oh, this is almost nothing is exactly how I remember it being. So this is 2018, or about halfway through my world's journey. At this point, the world was 6 years old. In fact, we know this was before May of that year, because there's no big date on the hill, which is when it's something I built to commemorate the move from Xbox One Edition to Bedrock. So this would have been at the very tail end of my time playing on the Xbox One Edition or console, and so there's some things that just immediately jump out at me as being a little bit odd. But also another fun thing about this is because this was played on console edition, this world was never shared with anyone at any point. Sharing console worlds was possible in the Xbox 360 days, but it became a lot trickier in the Xbox One days, to the point where basically, there's very few worlds out there for that edition of the game. And so yeah, I have a lot of weird things in here that I guess I just wasn't intending on looking at. Oh look, my swords, they're both iron, or rather netherite, I guess, as AI seems to think. There are a lot of interesting changes around the world, and I don't even know if I appreciate just how many there are. This isn't enclosed, for example. It's not made of purple glass. I didn't realize how many changes I made between 2018 and 2020. That must have been the real grinding era of this world, based on how much I can see has changed. But let's go check out the Nether, because I bet if we're Oh, I'm wearing Frostwalker boots. Oh, I haven't done that in so long, because it causes so many issues as you go around the world. I can't believe I just did that back then. But yeah, as we go into the Nether, I would like to issue what I believe to be a correction, because when I signed up to become a marketplace partner so that I could distribute this world, so many people have been asking for it, but I knew that my subscribers were on consoles, and the only way to get worlds to consoles for 99.9% of users on Bedrock is via the marketplace. And so I figured, a lot of people had indicated they want to support the channel that way, and the success of the map has proved that there is some truth to that. Oh yeah, look, this is way old. I don't have my staircase up there. How did I get around the Nether? Do I have anything in here? No, yeah, it literally looks as though, oh god, there's there weren't piglins at the time, so maybe I had a good excuse. I think I might literally die, by the way. I think, oh yeah, oh, that's bad. That's really bad. Bedrock regen, why'd you do that to me? Oh, what a weird spawn. I'm all the way over here, huh? But yeah, one of the rules that I understood when I joined up on the marketplace is you aren't allowed to sell exact copies of things on the marketplace that exist outside of it. And so I followed that rule pretty closely. But somewhat recently, with the Actions and Stuff pack, it has been confirmed by the director of the Minecraft Partner Program that there's no such rule. Maybe the rule changed, maybe the rule was never in place, maybe it's just a personal policy change from the guy at the top who doesn't agree with that. But in either case, that means that now a rule that I believed I had to follow is one that it seems doesn't need to be. And so I've been very guarded about this Let's Play world for reasons you can probably understand. It is 12 years of work put into one place, and yeah, I ultimately did decide to throw it out there, but there is one issue of that, and it's the fact that, yeah, you get the most updated version, so what if we could put the old version out there and anyone could choose to download it? And technically this means I can sell it on my own site. I could say, if you leave me, a few dollars tip, then I'll give you access to this. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, if you want this 2018 copy of my world, it's going to be entirely free. As part, I think it's going to be a much more fun way to see the historic version of some things, and whether you have the updated map, which is available on the marketplace or not, I think being able to see this old version is going to be a fun reminder of how things were. But yeah, this is the oldest backup I actually have that I can share with you today in terms of stuff like that. But I figured, I bet it's possible to find an even older version, and you know why I think that's true? Because I was playing on the Xbox One and the Xbox 360 edition, but then moved over to the later platforms, which means the latest copy of my Xbox 360 or Xbox One Minecraft is out there somewhere, and so let's go check it out. Okay, I'm gonna level with you, there are no dates on the Xbox One edition worlds. But let's see when this one's from. Oh, it's the meme. I'm coming back all these years later, and my dog just desperately wants to be fed. But at least he's still alive. So yeah, a few things to note. These are all old textures. This is very much my old house. And my god, I do not... It is amazing that it looks this way. It is kind of a shock, really, if you think about it, that I did just play Minecraft this way. Also, I was a different cat skin. I outlived multiple Minecraft skins, clearly. Things looked very different and felt very different, but let's go see what the world is like so we can try and get a vibe for the age. I'm guessing by the fact that I have a diamond chestplate on, we are pre-Elytra. That makes sense. I also don't see a map wall for the world. By the way, one of the best projects, you should totally do it if you can't. Instead of having a big barrel of barrels of a map here, there's just a couple of skeletons. I don't have any floating Death Star ambitions. I do have the Skyrail, And I do have a beacon, as you can see. Okay, I'm guessing this to be somewhere around 2015. I don't have 400 Let's Play episodes, and I don't have a giant bed over here, or any of the house improvements I made, or even a mega beacon. I just have the regular old plain iron beacon at this point. But by the way, they work as beacons. Look at that! You can see the beacon from the other side of the world. I forgot what it was like to have functional beacons in Minecraft. But you know what else I've forgotten? What my house used to look like. So let's see the 2015 core version. Wow, it's got so much more empty space. I've got to say, yeah, looking around it, there's just places for things to go. But I imagine the attic, yep, it is basically unchanged. The bed is red instead of blue, and it's slightly offset to the right. But otherwise, absolutely beautiful. Oh, moi. What is there not to love here? Oh, the world isn't torched up yet. It's all dark. It's been so long since I've seen it that way. Man, this is such a blast to the past. I really, really cannot believe... Oh, look, the cow pit is filled with pigs instead of cows. I cannot believe how much I've done over these years. Sometimes, I would say the one demotivational factor, if I'm being real with you about the state of this world, a lot of people say, how do you stick to the same world, Toy Cat? The truth is, it's easier to me to do that than to not. I want to see my progress slowly stack up. I love looking at a build and being like, oh yeah, I did that, and now I get to enjoy it. I don't enjoy the idea of thinking, I'll build something, look at it once, and then never use it again. It's like, why would I build it in the first place? I want to build things so that future me can look back on it. Are these Java skeletons? I don't even... he's really sidestepping me here. But I want to build things that future me can look upon and be like, whoa, you did that? Why? How? What's the point of all of that? I like looking at an area like this and thinking, yeah, future me will do something there, and then even more future me will get to enjoy it. But I would say the one downside, if there is one to the world being 12 years old, is I start to sometimes wonder, like, man, am I having an effect on the world? It feels like it's been, fairly similar for the last couple of versions of it. But as I go back in time more and realize that each couple of years aren't that different to the one that came before it, but overall it starts to shape a more and more distinctive world, I realized that actually, yeah, one of the reasons I recommend having a backup for your world, no matter where, what sort of world you have or how many, it's not a thing you do just so you can show people later. I think looking back at backups yourself is a really fun reminder of what you've done in your world, and yeah, I think it's so cool. Hey, look at that. We got a couple of squids hanging out over here. Very glitchy squids. I think it's so cool to look back at this and to see, like, yeah, there are some things that are exactly the same, even if we go back in time 9 years, but there are some things that have changed so much, and seeing them happen bit by bit has been such a delight today, and it's reminded me why, even though the Let's Players had to go through changes, honestly, my channel as a whole has. Staying alive on YouTube is a hard thing. People like to act like it's the normal thing for a channel to go and that eventually YouTubers have to quit because they just get bored. No, the prevailing pressures of being in any amount of entertainment industry means that people get bored of you very quickly, and so, like being able to be true to yourself and do things you enjoy, while also managing to capture the attention of at least, enough thousands of people to keep it alive. It's super challenging. There are all sorts of changes I never would have expected happening. But at the same time, and so I want to be clear that it's not like, oh yeah, I just kind of stumbled into this little moment that we found here. But I also want to be clear that the reason I do what I do is some part down to my desire for how I want a world to be for myself. Look, this is where the Guardian tank should be, but it's so under-existent here. But yeah, I want to be clear that one of the things is that the world is filled with things that seem like they are big decisions, but really it's a lot of micro decisions, one after another. You do something that seems like it's so small it can't possibly make a difference, and then you do it again the next day, and you do it again the day after, and that is how you get a world that lasts this long. and how it matters so much to you. And that's where I kind of am right now, despite literally not being me at this point in time, apparently. I think this is a really, really, really cool thing to see. And I think there's almost a bit of desire to look back at this old version and be like, okay, so this is what it looked like. I think this is super, super cool. But it makes me wonder, like, okay, if this is what it looks like here, maybe I should, going back to old versions of the world and getting inspiration from that, I feel like there's something to that I kind of want to play around with for the future. So I've enjoyed this a lot, and hopefully this encourages you to do what you're doing, but also, even as the Let's Play has changed, I hope that you know that I, through seeing this, realize that it's a world that matters to me and that is one of the passions behind this channel, and that's why you'll be seeing projects with it. Maybe not necessarily on this channel, but in my Toy Cat Enterprises Greater World. I have some really fun plans for the Let's Play that I hope people are as excited to see as me. And otherwise, we have the member-only Let's Play series, the 614.5. In fact, there'll be one after this very episode. But, I can't be advertising other videos right now, because I've got a third video that I promised you for this one, and that is tier list time. So let's do it. This is the IBX Toycat Let's Play Builds Tier List Maker. You can go on tiermaker.com and use this for yourself if you'd like to. I would really enjoy seeing them if you do create some. Feel free to post it on the Reddit or wherever you like to. But I'm going to be making my own personal tier list, and I'm going to be honest, I look at things like this and I love the idea of it so much, but I don't think I can put it anything above B. I feel like it's a bit generic, even though I think it turned out well. A part of me thinks like, this could have been done in a better way. If the AI can't see that that's not just a stone wall, then maybe that's a sign that I should make it something that isn't just a stone wall. Similarly, I feel like my museum is real great. I'm just kidding, the museum's great. I love that collection of all those things all in one space. Similarly of the map wall, I feel like the map wall is absolute S tier. The number of people have been inspired to make their own one of these. I've seen the idea is like spread so far and beyond anything I've ever done. Back when I made this map wall, the most I'd ever seen people do was 3x3 maps, and it looked kind of great by itself. Doing 15x15 maps took so many streams to get done. I actually, one of the editors on this channel I met because of that very stream. They decided they wanted to like turn it into a condensed video, and I thought that was really cool, and I feel like that's really great as a result. I also love my floating sky islands, but I think they're in need of a bit of a work, if I'm being honest. I think they're pretty wonderful. My big cubes, I did have someone close to me in my personal life say that the big cubes were really ugly recently and they didn't even enjoy watching them be built, and it broke my heart a little bit. But then I realized, yeah, there is something about them that just shows an amount of resource, but that's about it. And I feel like they could have been, there's a better way to show a large number of resources, probably in terms of like verticality maybe, or a pyramid or something. A big cube is perfectly Minecrafty, but it's going to go in the D tier of my builds. Same with the wood factory. I just think the wood factory was set out to be something great, and it never ended up being that way. I think in a kind of similar vein, if you look at my end, or rather my obsidian desert biome. I've changed a lot of desert biomes in my world in search of sand, but the obsidian desert is one that sounds so cool. Like, yeah, replace sand with obsidian, like super hardened sand, but it doesn't look that great. It's got an unfinished build in there, as you can see, and I was just in a phase where I enjoyed building desert temples of every variety. Not that great. Banker Toycat, iconic, 10 out of 10, love it so much. What more is there to say? Then we've got the furnace house. I also just, I think this is really fun. I think I could probably only put it in A tier though. My big Death Star of the creeper farm in the middle is probably also an A tier. It's so close to being perfect, but it needs like something for that top. I think the Mojang broke creeper farm, so it's probably like worthless, you could argue, but I'm just going to go by the aesthetics of the build. This weird Death Star in my world took forever to finish, and so a part of me enjoys that it was like an unfinished project that I was sure I'd never get round to, but 5 years later, here we are regardless. Now I've got the Church of the... Oh god, no. Not this thing. This was my first... I got cancelled before you could get cancelled on the internet for this. I built a upside down... I figured it would be funny. I did not realize the religiousness of certain people from one country in the United States of America. I thought it'd be funny, as a joke, because it's Minecraft, like you can kill people in Minecraft, to have a church to save Satan in Minecraft. And anyway, that was a long saga that I still try not to relive. It's one of the worst moments, and I can't believe this has done this to me. It basically just sits there because it's been there. It's kind of a weird build that feels out of place. I would replace it with something, but I feel like it needs to. I don't even like fight the Wither there anymore. This needs to move or something like that, but I don't know when, I don't know how, so I'll leave it there for a bit longer. Maybe when I get around to building that churchyard. I think I realized, I mentioned that in the half Let's Play, so only like 7 of you will understand what I mean by that. But when I build my graveyard, I think then I think I'll build it maybe above where the Wither is, so it can all make sense. Speaking of making sense, this is my village that has questionable 1930s European tendencies. I like it, but honestly, I think it's the same thing as the Obsidian Desert, where it's a fun idea, but it doesn't necessarily work. I love this. My drained ocean with my oil rig in it. It was one of those builds that felt kind of awkward, but once I drained the ocean around it, I actually loved the way that it vibes in the world. Why is this dark and the rest are light? Well, for the same reason you could ask, why is it that why is this in the Xbox One edition? And it's because I wanted 15 builds. 14 just felt incorrect, and so I think this is going in the S tier. I love the destruction of that mansion, and it's fueled to this day my love for destroying structures. And maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. But finally, we've got the Let's Play house, which is of course S+ tier. This is S+++++++. More seriously though, I love the Let's Play house because it's so iconic. A lot of people look at it and say, Toycat, you've been playing for 12 years, can't you get a better house? And I love that this proves to me that if you think you need a better house to be happy in Minecraft, that's great. If you think other people need anything to be happy in Minecraft, you're wrong. The beauty and the thing I want to prove by keeping my series going is that there are beauty standards on YouTube for how a Minecraft build should look, but I don't give a fuck about any of them. I'll be honest with you, my goal is to make what I want to be fun, and hopefully something, if I'm really lucky, I can build something that might inspire you to do something similar to it in your world. But if you think it looks good or not is not something that frankly registers with me in the slightest, and I love that this build, by being the first one most people see, by being the one that people associate with me, is the one that really signifies that. Anyway, this is my tier list. If you want one of your own, then you can do precisely that. But otherwise, this has been a really great time. It is this is a video that I knew would be a big one that I'd have to really go a lot into, but it's one that I wanted to make because this world is really, really special to me, and I've loved sharing every single one of these last 12 years with you. For the past 5 or 6 years, I've been making this anniversary video, and I intend to do that for the next 5 or 6 years, because this is one of the most special things to me, and hopefully it's special to you too. Speaking of special once-a-year videos, I guess we're getting into the season of, like, worst ideas of the year, best seeds. We got a lot of, like, fun once-a-year videos coming up in the next couple of months, and I hope that you're looking forward to those. But if you enjoyed this Let's Play world and you feel like I've ended it on a bit of an abrupt note, I just want to say 2 things. One is that there is that half Let's Play. If you're a channel member, you can click the link down below. And 2, if you want to look around this world and see how things have changed, so you can get an idea of what you could do in 6 years, or maybe what you could do better in 6 years. I'm sure you could do so much more than me. I'll leave a link to these things down below where you can do precisely that for yourself, because this is something this is a world I'm really passionate about, and I know to some people it's going to seem weird, like, wait, Toycat, you're going to make a free alternative to something that you put out on the marketplace? Yeah, I'm sure that some number of people are excited for the marketplace and the latest version updates and all that stuff, but I'm also sure there's some large number of people who would just like to check it out, and for you, free download. But for everyone else, for anyone who wants the support after checking that out, you can get the Toycat Let's Play World, including the brand new update and all the updates we ever put out for free. You get the updates for free, but it costs 660 Minecoins, and you can get it right now on the marketplace. But otherwise, I hope you will enjoy this episode of the IBX Toycat Update Adventures Let's Play, because I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Okay. Goodbye. Oh. Big video. It's 9:30 p.m. I've got a flight. This time it's in 9 hours, so it's like I might actually be able to sleep for it. But I'm traveling for a good bit, and then that's the last I've done for the year. It's actually the last of my passport. It's gonna be expired soon, so I'm making the most of it while I can. When it expires, my global entry and a lot of my visas also immediately expire. So I'm trying to get all the travel in I can, and then nothing for a couple of months while I wait for another one. Gonna be a whole thing. But I look forward to seeing you for another airport video later this week. Goodbye.